Alright, so you're here to learn the top 5 ways to get a Rolex from the authorized dealer. Now, also many of you know I'm trying to do the same. I'm trying to get a Pepsi on Jubilee from the authorized dealer. It's going to take a while, it's going to take months, but I have gotten one from an authorized dealer before. Let me tell you how. Let's do a wrist check. I think I wore this in the last video, but this is the Christopher Ward C60 Sapphire. I'll put it up on the screen somewhere. Love this watch. I've been wearing it a lot more recently. I haven't been wearing it in the past, and I kind of wear it when I need to work my ass off.
Pat you on the bottom for a job well.
Kind of what this watch is, so that's what I'm doing. So the watch I got was actually the Submariner with the green bezel. Some people call it the Starbucks, some people call it the Kermit. The Kermit's really the one with the aluminum bezel. This one has the ceramic bezel, so it's the Kermit. Basically how I got this is I wanted this watch, and I asked a couple dealers for it, and it was like basically everybody laughed in my fucking faces. If you've been to a dealer, you're on this video, you've probably been to a dealer before, it's very difficult. Anyway, so my friend's mother worked for one of the dealers. She worked in the diamond department, but she knew the dealers, and she was actually leaving the authorized dealer. I was with my friend at the time when he found out. He said, you better ask her what you want immediately. So I said, okay, this is what I want. I told her, and she literally called me back that day and said, yes, we have it for you. Call me back tomorrow and we'll discuss logistics. And I'm like, well, I'm flying to California. She's like, no problem. Called her back. She said, this will be here next week for you. It has your name on it. It's completely yours. Next week I show up, boom, it's mine. It's about an hour away from my apartment, and rest is history. I have a Rolex now. And this goes into point 1, which is find your connections, right? Of all these dealers that you visit, do you have any kind of connection, whether it's a familial connection, whether it's a friend, maybe it's a friend's mother like me, something like this, or even just building a connection like, oh, you went to the school I went to? Awesome. Stuff like this that is really going to help you out, because these dealers, especially ones in big major cities like I'm in New York, they have hundreds of people coming in every single day asking for watches. Half of them, like, they don't even know. Half of them, they're never going to remember. So making sure the dealer knows you is extremely important. Point 2 is probably one you've heard all the time, which is you need to spend money. I have a lot of people that have gotten, their wedding rings or wedding bands or things like this at jewelers, and then they also have Rolex there, and then they're like, oh, since I bought this wedding ring for, my potential wife, my potential fiance, can I then get access to a Rolex for my wedding? Absolutely, yes. That helps a lot. These jewelers and authorized dealers in general, when they sell jewelry, that's their biggest markup. That's what they make the most money out of all of the store. Things like diamonds, gold bracelets, gold necklaces, whatever, are marked up much more than you could possibly imagine compared to watches, because watches, it's a set price. So it depends on the brand, but they're making a certain markup over. So for example, Rolex, if they're setting a watch for $10,000, maybe they sell it for $12,000, and they have to sell it for that price. They can't sell it for more, and that's the one rule. So stuff they can fluctuate, stuff like jewelry, and things like this, they have a higher markup on. Therefore, if you buy from them, they're going to make more profit. They're more likely to get you a watch that everybody else fucking wants. Point 3 is when you walk into the dealer, have an occasion for your watch. Now, this is no guarantee, but I've had a lot of success from people that are saying, oh, I'm getting married soon, my wife and I want matching Datejust. Or, I just got my first watch out of college and I just want a small OP, nothing fancy. My dad's been collecting for years. I don't have a Rolex yet. I would like a Rolex. Maybe they're wearing a watch in. That helps a lot. Ultimately, there's kind of goes back to point 1, which is if you're building a connection with the person and they understand this is what you want the watch for, they're going to sell to you over Joe Schmo that says, oh, I just want a Panadial Daytona. Why do you want it? Oh, no reason. What do you think the reason is? They're going to fucking flip it, right? So if you somehow understand why you want the watch and the occasion you want the watch. For me, for example, right now, the connection is, I started this whole TikTok journey, and I'm continuing YouTube journey and continuing it, and I want something to kind of commemorate that. That's a fair point, right? I think they're going to feel for that. They're going to understand being very entrepreneurial. Maybe they'll allocate me one. Who knows? The 4th way is just getting really lucky. I can't tell you the amount of times that I've gotten DMs on Instagram like, oh, I just walked into my AD in Boston, and they happened to have a Datejust, and I was asking about one. I wanted the silver dial. They came out with the blue dial, and I walked out with it. That stuff does happen. I know it doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. So it's always worth just checking with whatever AD you're going to, hey, especially for those models like Datejust, Oyster Perpetuals, things like high-end GMTs and Daytonas, that's never going to happen because there's always going to be a market for that. But Datejust are harder to sell for them, and they hide in the back so you don't know that it's there. But they do have them back there. So just asking about maybe a Milgauss, Air King, stuff like this, you might be able to walk in and get it. No guarantee, but yeah. I actually heard a story of a guy, he's a pilot, so he flies all over the country. And he was actually in Dubai at the airport. He walked by, he saw a guy just come up with a bunch of boxes marked with do not touch. So he walked in the dealer and he said, do you guys have anything? Because duty-free shops, first of all, you don't have to pay taxes. And 2, they don't have a regular customer base because it's people flying places. Nobody's flying every single day. Nobody lives there, right? So he walked in, he said, hey, what do you guys have? The last thing we have right now is a 2-tone Yachtmaster 1 with a chocolate dial. And he said, yes, I want it, right? It was, I don't know, the market price called it 15,000. It was worth 17,000. There was a line of 10 people behind him, by the way, in the store. And it was either that or a ladies' day just. And he said, yeah, I'll take the two-tone Yachtmaster. And now the other weekend I saw him wearing it, right? It's just completely, like, it's so random. And I understand some people are like, well, like, why can't I walk in and do that? Like, it's just getting lucky. Like, he got lucky. People get lucky doing it. And what are you going to do? I don't know. The last and fifth and final point is wearing a luxury watch in the store. Not many people have this luxury, but let me explain. So over a couple of dealers I've been to, I've had a lot of success wearing my personal Rolex, which is the Starbucks, which, you know, is a very hard to get watch. Almost as hard as it is to get a GMT. And they kind of respect that. They see me wearing it. They ask me how I got it. I explain that, you know, the woman that got it for me was leaving the company the week after, so I don't have that connection with the dealer anymore. So I'm looking, and they kind of understand. They get it. I name the actual dealer. They don't believe me, and they're like, oh, wait, yeah, you're right. And that kind of sparks up a conversation. And a lot of times what these dealers don't want to sell to people that are just going to flip it immediately. Not everybody's doing that, but there are people that do that. It looks bad on them. So if you walk in wearing, now people can afford this, but if you're walking wearing a high-end Omega, but more importantly, any Rolex, an AP, a Patek, something like this, or you could talk about, they see you're a collector, right? It's gonna help you a lot. And in combination with one of these other things, maybe it's you also buy jewelry, or like they remember you. Like, now one more bonus point, point 6, which I totally forgot, and is the most important one that I've given, is actually just like following up all the time. Like I said in a couple of the other points, right? It's important for them to remember you, right? Whether it's, you know, you have your wedding and they want to know your occasion, whether it's what you wear in, right? It all depends, but point 6, most important, following up. I can't tell you the amount of success I've had getting other things that aren't watches, just following up, being like, hey, like, just want to see where you were. It's not every day, right? Once a week, so they know your name. So if you do a combination of these couple of things, maybe you wear a Tudor in, you have, you know, your birthday coming up, and you also follow up all the time, right? And you have a conversation with them, you build some kind of connection. Those things are gonna be a great recipe for success for you to not go spend money at the AD, right? That's just the way it's gonna happen. Not every AD is like this. Some ADs it's like money or else, right? They have a huge client book, but some of them are like, yeah, we'll give to whoever we think deserves to have it, right? Whether it's money, whether it's you have an occasion, whether it's you're persistent, right? For example, tomorrow I'm gonna go back to the dealer, you know, by my apartment. I'm gonna bring them all coffee. They're not supposed to accept coffee, but I have to imagine they will. And even if they don't, they're going to remember me. Like, that $20 takes me to buy 4 coffees, walking in, giving it to them. They're going to remember that forever. Like, oh my gosh, this guy actually brought us coffee. Like, he really wants this shit. They're going to remember my name instantly, right? Even if they forgot it at this point, which I don't think they have, they're going to be like, wow, he's persistent. Eventually, they might even call me for a different watch, right? Maybe I'll consider it. Maybe they call me for a Blue Dial Day Just, or maybe they call me for another sub. I might take it, who knows, right? So it's the following up, it's the being persistent, very important. Yeah, thank you guys for watching, very short video, but I think there's not a lot of videos like this on YouTube in general, and I think this can be helpful to somebody out there. You know, it's an absolute crapshoot getting Rolexes. They release 1 million watches a year, but there never seems to be any inventory. My ass, right? Let me know what you guys think of this video. Anything else you want to see in terms of Rolex, in terms of pre-owned watch, whatever, it doesn't matter. Let me know below in the comments. Definitely like and subscribe. Those of you that know, that's very important for me, helpful for the algorithm, and yeah, stay tuned for the next one.